Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Amon Amarth, The Great Heathen Army, out August 5th on Metal Blade Records. The album has 9 tracks, 43 minutes in length, and this is the band's 12th full-length studio album. They are a Swedish melodic death metal band. This is not a concept record, but obviously the Viking theme permeates across each and every single song. It's a little bit of the glue that tries to hold the whole record together, with some musical elements, some vocal elements as well. Now, the album feels very experimental. There's a lot of new faces, there's a lot of new looks, there's a lot of new sounds, new experiences that you're going to get from this record that you haven't really gotten from Amon Amarth before. So it's outside the box. Because of that, it's very hard to find a path from beginning to end. It's an album that feels almost like it's forcing you to reset with every single track. Because of that, it's built more like a compilation and less like a full-length album. The songs have quality on their individual basis, but that individual quality doesn't really permeate in order to give strength to the collective. That's one of the main problems of the structure. I like the fact that it starts with the singles, a sense of comfort knowing what you're getting yourself into, but then it finishes off with some of the best songs on the album, and I wanted to see those tracks a little bit earlier. I wanted a better design, a better flow, a better mixture, because when you have songs that good, that deep into the track listing, and you have a lot of volatility before, and you're building an album that doesn't really offer a path, that's a little bit outside the box, you may lose some listeners along the way. And losing those listeners along the way is not going to allow them to see the quality of some of the closing tracks on this record that, in my opinion, deserved a little bit more of a spotlight by being moved earlier on into the track listing. So the overall design feels a little bit out of norm, out of shape as far as Amon Amarth is concerned, and that made the overall experience of going through each and every single song a little bit bumpy. As far as the soundscape is concerned, this album, like I said, it's very experimental. It tries new things, it tries new ideas, offering some more melody, some heaviness, but the heaviness sometimes coming out of different elements from before, some symphonic elements that allow some of the tracks to become a little bit more epic in nature and experience and atmosphere, a duet. I mean, there's a lot to digest on this record sound-wise. The consistency of sound is the way the album comes across. Regardless of where this record is taking you, regardless of what the starting point and finish line are going to be on each and every single song, the quality in terms of how the songs are put together, the cocoon that surrounds each and every single track is pretty familiar and pretty similar from song to song. So they were able to keep the quality of the sound, the quality of the experience. The mixing is really well done on this album from start to finish. That, once again, it offers some consistency. But because the album really moves or adds jolts that you're perhaps not prepared for, all of that consistency almost becomes diluted and you lose track of it, and all you can think about is the things that sounded different, the things that don't sound like Amon Amarth, and it's harder for you to find or discover where the commonalities are, where the DNA of the band exists. It's still there, but it's perhaps a little bit hidden throughout all of these new elements that they've thrown at you in the soundscape, in the sound experience of this record. Now, one of the consistencies of this album, in terms of the theme, but going from the theme into the soundscape, is the drums. I love the drum sound throughout, from beginning to end. It doesn't matter where these songs are going, it doesn't matter what they're trying, it doesn't matter what differences or what is driving the experience of an individual song. The consistency, the power, the heaviness of the drums is always there. And a lot of the heaviness of this record is really living off of the heaviness of the drums, how they come across, how powerful they are, the texture, the substance, and how much they fill in every single gap of space. They sound larger than life. They have a lot of movement within themselves, and then they give movement to the songs. Definitely one of the highlights and one of the elements that stays very leveled in terms of the quality and performance from beginning all the way to the end. Now, the guitars, on the other hand, are definitely the barometers of the experimental side of the album. I felt like a lot of that natural chug that you get on an Amon Amarth record was not there on this album. There's still some elements there. It's still, you can still find it throughout the record. I mean, in 9 tracks, you're definitely going to find it, but it's not consistent as it was before. They definitely offered a more melodic side, a heavier side, a more to the point side, but not that chugging thickness of movement that it's so DNA Amon Amarth. And that is the first thing that you'll notice listening to this record. The guitars sound different. They come across differently. They have a different impact into the tracks and into your perception of the overall album. And it's definitely one of those elements that feels very outside the box when you look back at the previous 11 records. Now, the vocals are consistency. If you have consistency in the drums, you have consistency in the vocals. Those are the two parameters, the two borders that hold on or try to keep this album moving in one single direction, while the guitars and everything else that's been added into the sound experience is brewing within. It's moving all over the place. Now, I like the vocals on this record because they are consistent. They didn't try to go too far outside of some spoken word, nothing that you haven't heard before from Amon Amarth, and outside of the duet that exists on Saxons and Vikings. This record is what you would come to expect from an Amon Amarth record. The vocals are on point, that graspiness, that rasp is there, and delivers that melodic death metal sound, that melodic death metal approach that it's so DNA Amon Amarth. The vocals are definitely one of the highlights of this record because they allow you to feel grounded. Some songs, honestly, without the vocals, I think you would have a hard time determining that this is an Amon Amarth track. But once you put those vocals in there, automatically it just feels like home. And I like that aspect of the record. I like the fact that they didn't tweak with that much, considering everything else. Now, overall, this is a record that has quality songs. I just don't think those songs are in the right place at the right time. It's also an album that doesn't give me a sense of sequence, so it's hard for me to get into this record. This is going to be an album where I'm going to pick my favorite songs, take out the songs out of the record, put them on a playlist, and that's about it. It doesn't have that playability album-wise from beginning to end. It doesn't hold consistency, and it doesn't hold quality from beginning to end. It feels a little bit diluted. Is an album that has, like I said, great songs, but even those great songs perhaps would be secondary tracks on an album like Twilight of the Thunder Gods. It's just not a consistent record all around. It feels very volatile. That experimental approach that they took on this album really changes how you feel towards it. And some people may love it because it sounds like they're giving you a fresh ideas, fresh sound, fresh experience. But for the fans of the band that want more traditional Amon Amarth sound, this album completely gonna miss the mark. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Find a Way or Make One. This is one of the most traditional Amon Amarth songs on this record. I love the guitar riff. It has that chug. It also has melody. It's also driven. But that natural Amon Amarth chug is still there. That trademark sound is still there. You can still hear it. You can still feel it throughout the entire song. Now, the verses are more methodic, and then the chorus is a little bit more explosive. Having a choir with backing vocals in the chorus allows it to be more explosive. It also allows it to be more catchy. Actually, this is an album where they tried to make every song have hooks, either vocal hooks or melody hooks, either musically or vocally. They try to make this album very hooky at every single turn, almost trying to make a melodic death metal album that's very heavy, but at the same time very commercial appealing. It kind of feels that way. And this song has that structure, that design that really matches that sort of experience. I like the dynamic between the verses and the chorus. I like the solos. The solos are on point, and it's a song overall that, to me, when I look at the entire record, when I look at these 9 songs, it perhaps feels like the most natural Amon Amarth track of them all. Next comes my favorite song on the album, Saxons and Vikings, a duet. Now, I don't know who the Saxon is, but I have some guesses, and my guess is Chris Bottendal of Gravedigger. That's going to be my guess. I'm probably wrong. You guys can let me know who it is in the comment section, but I absolutely love this duet regardless of who the Saxon is. First of all, you get the Viking point of view in the first verse. Then you get the Saxon point of view in the second verse. And then you bring them together, and then there's like a discussion between the two. It's a very iconic song. It's going to be a very iconic song for Amon Amarth. I love the style. I love the approach. I love the vocal dynamic that exists within this track. Creating it as a duet is absolutely perfect. You cannot have this lyrical content. You cannot talk in the first person as a Viking. You cannot talk in the first person as a Saxon without having two different vocalists appearing on this song and giving you those two different perspectives. Love that. Love the approach. Love the sound. Love how they build this song. Definitely one of the most, it is the most iconic song on this entire record. Last but not least, and really last on the track list, The Serpent's Tale. Now, this is a different song all around. It's the longest song on the album. It's around 7-minute mark, a little bit over the 7-minute mark. It feels like a symphonic death metal song. There's a lot of symphonic elements within this track that makes the song feel very epic. It feels cinematic. It feels like fantasy world almost. It matches the lyrical content, and therefore it works. It works because it brings the lyrics to life with the sound that they created. The sound is really the soundscape, the soundtrack for what the lyrics are telling you, for the story that's represented within the track. I love this look. I love this feel. It felt unnatural at the beginning when I first listened to the song. The song just felt a little bit different, a little bit too different. The symphonic elements really jump into the forefront throughout the entire track. But once you get into it, once you start digesting, once you go through it a few times, you realize why the song sounds the way it does. You have to look at the lyrical content in order to understand better the soundscape, but the two come together hand in hand and becomes an epic, epic song to close off the record. One of the strongest songs outside of Saxons and Vikings. This is my second overall favorite track on the album, one for the ages as well, because it just feels different, it sounds different, but at the same time is an Amon Amarth song with a more epic vibe to it. Fantastic, almost fantasy world Amon Amarth. This is it. The Great Heathen Army, out August 5th, on Metal Blade Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.